Hey guys, we're back here again with the Mark III Golf, and in this video we're going to sort out the radio. So for some reason my radio just won't turn on, and in this video we're just going to go through all the wiring and see what's wrong with it, or is the radio itself broken. So sit back, enjoy, give it a thumbs up. Right, let's get into the video. Okay, ignition off, radio off, ignition on. Radio still doesn't work. Right, let's go and see what's wrong with it. So I think the first job is just to pull the radio out. Okay, so here we have the loom associated with the Pioneer. So let's try and get that out a bit more. So the way this works is, this is like a transformer loom, say, basically. So that's the Pioneer here, and then up here is ISO A and B. So ISO, I think it's A is power, and ISO B, which is the brown one, is speakers. Or I have that back and front as well, which no information on the radio. Okay, so the three wires we're going to need is ground, live, and switch live. So these two here, not that one, this one, yellow and red, they're both live and switched live. And then where is it gone? The black one, which I think sometimes goes brown as well, but this one is black. Anyway, yeah, so the black is there, so that's negative, and you have your two lives. So one of them is going to be constant live, one is going to be switch live, means it's going to be 12 volt with the key on and 0 volt with the key off. So let's go see which is which. I think the first job is just to check that all the plugs are actually plugged in. So they are in tight. These two here, they seem to be in tight. So sometimes you'll have all of this wired up, so yellow to yellow, red to red, and the radio just won't turn off. So what you do is you'll switch those two wires. So you'll have yellow here and red out here, and then you'll have red here and yellow connected to each other. And that just allows the radio to remember all your preset stations when you turn the radio back on. Sometimes they're just wired a bit backwards, but anyway, ignition on, still nothing. Okay. I'm just going to test the negative to make sure that the earth is basically wired up. So you have it in continuity, so it's on the black wire just here. Basically I have to touch something that's also grounded. Well, we have ground, so that's one less thing to check. Now let's check the two lives. So the color is backwards, but it doesn't really matter. So basically the black wire is joined to the red pin, and the yellow one is now joined to the black tester. We have 12 volt, so it says minus 12 volt, but just ignore that, it's just 12 volt. And when we turn off the ignition, we still have 12 volt. Okay, so that yellow wire is constant 12 volt. So it means then the red one should be switched 12 volt. So let's check that. Okay, now have red still on negative, black is now on the positive red wire. And yeah, with no power here, that's just the wire just running around. And then we turn on ignition, no real difference, it's just still running around. So that means then that this red wire is not connected to anything, so that's our problem. So let's trace that back. Let's see, because I assume then maybe it's connected to that fuse down there. So we'll just check the fuse as well, because I think it's the very last fuse, which is fuse 22. I'll Google it and check, but I think it's 22 is actually connected to this, so we'll check that as well. No, the fuses are okay. So what's next? Well, I think I have the glove box out and the wire kind of goes that way, so let's trace the wire back, because that's as far as it goes back. What's this? Hey. Okay, it has another junction. You can see that that's the ground, so brown is ground. This one is, what's going on here? Okay, so the yellow one should be up here. The yellow one is actually down here. So then the switched one, this is the switched one, and that's this one here. So this is like a transfer or a swap over. It is weird. And that's this one here that's giving problems. And someone's after doing some sort of weird join. Where's that go? Oh. Okay, that's why it doesn't work. Okay. So if we very carefully push this wire here back into this, the radio then should turn on, I think. I can actually switch it into one of the others either. Like, I'll put it in somewhere and just see if it works. Okay, so I plugged it into the yellow one, so just bear with me, I'll explain this. So ground is still ground no matter what. Red comes down here. It's actually the yellow one now comes down to here, so that's the yellow one. I put this wire back in so it actually comes back up through there, through the red one, and comes back down again. So now there is 12 volt in the yellow wire and 12 volt in the red wire, but it's constant 12 volt. But I just want to check, does the radio actually even work, or is the radio like a dead duck? So just after plugging it in, and ta-da! It works. Okay, brilliant. Okay, now to figure out why the wire is disconnected. Okay, so the ignition's off, but the radio's on. So no matter what we do, the radio will be constantly on. So I don't want that. I want it to turn on with the key on and turn off with the key off. So we're going to trace the wire back and see what wire is missing or damaged or cut, and maybe rejoin it or see what we can do. So following this loom back, this is here. So we have 4 wires here. We have 5 wires here. So which wire is not there? There's a little brown and red wire. Is it just in the tape? There it is. Okay. So if we just cut the sheathing back, hopefully there'll be 12 volt there with key on and 0 volt with the key off. But like, why would someone do that? Weird. Okay, let's try that. Okay, let's try this. Ignition on. We have the multimeter set up. We have ground set up. Now we're going to just touch positive off this switch one. We still don't have anything. Okay, so please give it a thumbs up, give a like, subscribe. I have the radio working. Let's see how I did it. Radio on with key on. Radio off with key off. Radio back on with key on. So after following this brown and red wire all the way back through the dash, it comes all the way down. The brown and red wire comes down into this red plug, and then from the red plug it splits into 2. One end goes to H17. The other half of it goes all the way up here into the key barrel. So that's the wire just there. So why do I have 2 barrels? Well, on this one here, I followed it all the way up. You can kind of just see it just there where my fingertip is. And inside it hit this, there's one of these little sensors or the ignition switch. And it goes from that pin to that pin, or vice versa. And basically inside it there's a connection, and inside this one it's after dying, or basically the connection is burnt out or not working. So it doesn't matter if you turn it on or off, the radio's not going to turn on. So just to test it, to make sure that I wasn't going crazy, just said I'll bypass everything, get this out of a SAT, which is a known working one, which everything works on. I turn on the key, so I have this currently wired up. The radio turns on and the dash turns on. So that's working. Okay, so now I know that everything's working. What am I going to do about it? Well, you have 2 options. You can take down all of this. You undo, there's a riv nut, not a riv nut, security bolt. You undo that, maybe cut it with an angle grinder, and then you put an ordinary nut and bolt back. Slide this off the column, and then down where this is, so you have this removed, there's a screw. You can go down, undo the screw, pull this out, and then you put a new one back in, and then you put it all back together again. And obviously, by the way I'm talking, I am not doing that because it sounds like an awful lot of work. So I started looking around going, right, where does this get power from? This little red and brown wire, which activates the radio. But not only does it activate the radio, it also goes to H17, and from there I don't know where it goes, but obviously it's a switch live, and whatever the fuse box needs, it needs that signal from H17. So I looked around, well, this one here, which is I think H14, that's switching, but where is it switching from? So when you have the key off, you're not getting anything, and when you switch the key on, you're getting constant 12 volt. That's down H14. So what I'm thinking of doing is cutting these two wires, join them together, and it'd be the exact same as having it here in the switch. And then, so I cut this one and T base it back into this. So this one will stay where it is. I just make cut into it, solder back into it. So that'll be joined over there. And when the key is switched in the off position, you'll have 0 volts, and this still has 0 volts, this has 0 volts, and the radio's off. And when you switch it on, you'll have 12 volt, and the radio will come back on. So that's my plan, is to cut this wire and cut this one, join them, and then basically tee it back into itself. So this one will always be working off the key, and this one will be switching off the blue wire rather than switching off the key barrel, because I don't see what the point of it is to switch off the key barrel. Maybe there's an extra fuse or something, but it's getting power from this one here, and this one here is probably getting power from the big heavy duty red one, so it's not like I'm bypassing a fuse or anything. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Okay, so this is my solution. I pulled the H1 block out, I took the H17 wire, cut it so you can see the other end of it is just there. So cut it, you know, about that much. Looped it around. I managed to get H14 out using a pick like that, just an ordinary pick. I just put it in a little side, either side, while giving it a good pull straight up, and it did come up. Then soldered the two of them together on the actual connector, just at the very top, just up here rather than down here, say up here. Soldered all together. Now I'm putting it back, and now I'm about to put it in and test it. So this is now going to be connected to the radio, and this is going to be off with key off and 12 volt with key on. So it's the exact same as it would have been here on the key barrel, but it's obviously all bypassed. Well, would have been that key barrel up there. Okay, so I have the H1 block back in. I have the connector back connected. You can see it just there. I just have the lights on, but ignition off, radio off. Ignition on, radio on. Booyah! Fixed. So ignition off, radio off, ignition back on. Give it a second or two. It's back working. Woo! Okay, so that's how you do it. Okay, so I was thinking about this last night, and what we've done is we have a loop here, and that loop then goes all the way up and goes over to the radio, but there's no fuse, and I want to also run a switched 5 volt to charge a phone. And I was thinking, how does the Corrado do it? And actually on Q4 is actually a switching live, and it's fused to fuse 16. So we're going to attach that to the radio. So the option is to take this wire here that goes all the way up, goes up here to our red plug, cut out the base so it won't short out off anything, and then solder it back onto Q4. Or the alternative is to join it to this wire here, which is in the glove box. So that's the glove box, that's the light there, that's the plug, or that's the plug here, that's the socket. And you can just tee into there, so from say about around here, it's a very short distance over to the radio. Okay, so I wired it up the same way I think most people would wire it up. Leave the fuse box alone, don't go near it. Come over here, find your glove box here, undo the plug. Then I just soldered into the plug. So I actually extended the wires, but you don't need to do that. So this wire here, which is red and black, cut it, cut this one here, which is brown and red, and join the two of them. I end up just using a different colored wire altogether, but it's the same thing. Then that just runs into your radio as the switch live. This H17 wire that comes from the radio goes into the fuse box. What does it actually do? All it does is tells the buzzer that you left the lights on. That when you turn off the ignition but have the lights on, it's a buzzer. That's the only reason why that pin exists. So if you don't really care for it, you can just bypass it altogether, or you can just tee into it and it'll still work. So that's how you're going to fix your radio if you have the exact same problem on a Mark II Golf or a Mark III Golf. I don't know if it's the same for a Mark I, but basically that's how I fixed it. So if you like this type of video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe over there, leave a comment down below, even just to say well done or have a nice day or whatever you want. I don't really mind what you write, but yeah, definitely for doing all of this work and sharing it on the internet. I think I definitely need to subscribe, so go on, give a thumbs up, give a subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Radio on with key on, radio off with key off, radio back on with key on. Brilliant.